Good morning. How
Hola.
are you? Hola, Sara. Good to see you.
Good to
Today
see
we
you.
are speaking with Sara Kennan, a very successful businesswoman who produces agave spirits. She has a brand called Leonista, and she's bringing knowledge from the maestros in Jalisco and Oaxaca who
Hmm.
produce agave in our country. I understand, Sarah, how are you in the first place? How are you?
Very good. Yeah, it's a weird time at this time because it's this whole Corona epidemic. So I'm currently in a hotel room in quarantine because I just returned from Europe.
From
I just returned
Portugal.
from a trip there. I was doing some export work.
Yes.
Yeah, I basically got stuck there and now have come back. And now they've just put us into a 2-week quarantine just to make sure that we don't spread the virus, obviously. But yeah, it's pretty pleasant. It's a nice hotel room. And yeah, this is where I'm speaking to you from. And yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting times.
Yeah, interesting time, weird times, because we
Mm.
don't understand what is really going on or what will happen. But in any case, we have technology. We are
Mm.
very, very fortunate to have this conversation and
Yeah.
initiate this intercultural dialogue, these conversations of Mexico with the world, which are really very important, interesting to learn from each other. And I'm very
Mm.
happy to know that you've traveled to Mexico, you have learned the process of working with agaves. You yourself here in South Africa, you have the desert or
Mm.
semi-desertic area as we have in
Yeah.
Mexico as well.
Mm.
And cactus grow there and agaves grow there, beautiful agaves as well. So,
Yeah.
well, tell us a little bit about you, about your passion for this business, and
Mm.
how did you get Mexico, the maestros involved into all this process?
Sure. Yeah, I guess, sure, where to start? I guess, I mean, I've always been a massive fan of tequila. It's that energy giving, amazing alcohol spirit that you can go out and have fun on and not feel horrible in the morning as long as you drink with respect.
Mm.
So I discovered, in growing up and going out and celebrating with friends and, often alcohol can have quite a negative effect on your emotions and on your physical state the next day. Whereas when I drank good tequila, 100% agave tequila, I felt amazing. First of all, very high energy, and then the next day I didn't feel too bad. I didn't feel, as long as I drank the good stuff, I didn't feel like I'd been hit by a bus. So that for me was like, wow, this is amazing. This must be different to other spirits. This must be special. And so I ended up always being the girl who brings a bottle of tequila to the party. And but it had to be 100% agave. And so I got sort of really interested in this and didn't really know what agave was and thought it was a cactus, but then discovered, oh, it's not a cactus, it's an agave plant, which is closer to a lily. And I guess that road of discovery kind of just got me more and more interested in Mexico. And going to Mexico, obviously, I love adventure, I love travel, but what really got me going and saying, cool, I'm going to choose to take a trip and fly to Mexico was I was wanting to learn more about agave and the production process. And my boyfriend's family has a farm out in the Karoo, which is like a desert area in South Africa, and they have a lot of agave there. So I thought, wow, this is, there could be a parallel here. Let me go out and explore. And I love surfing as well. So Mexico was a big pull because warm water, beautiful surf. So went to Mexico and yeah, I just had the most beautiful, inspiring experience. So I went to Jalisco, I went to Tequila Town and learned from the maestro tequila distillers there. I had a guy who I hired to take me around and he translated translated for me to make sure that I could understand what was going on. Took lots of pictures and yeah, in being, arriving at Tequila Town in Jalisco, it was like a deja vu moment between, if you go to Graafrenet in the Karoo in South Africa, it's almost like the exact same town, except the tequila town has this beautiful agave farm, the agave just growing up the hills. Whereas in Graaff-Reinet, there's none of that. There's only, a few of the agave, but they're pretty much the same town. So that was like an aha, eureka moment for me, because, there's so many parallels between what's going on in Mexico and what happens in South Africa, the climate, the people, everything. So I saw a huge opportunity there, I guess, for what was happening in Mexico to happen in South Africa as well. And just had an amazing time and discovered that, tequila isn't just this mass-produced thing. It's actually this, can be crafted just like a wine. So just like going to any winery, each tequileria has a different way of producing. Maybe he has fruit farms that are growing, or fruit trees that are growing around the distillery, and so the tequila has a bit of a fruity flavor, which is really interesting. And that was just really beautiful. Then I also learned about, I just kept doing this word mezcal, and I had no idea what mezcal was. And so through that, I sort of was drawn down to Oaxaca. And there I was in Puerto Escondido, and then I went to Oaxaca City, and from there went to a mezcaleria. And, with tequila distilleries, they're very big, they look very expensive, and, there would be a lot of investment to get to that production process. And you need the tequila and hueva specifically. But then when I went to the mezcalerias, I saw it was just, a little guy and his workshop and his little distillery in the back of his house. And he had the agave americano, which is the same as we have here. And that was like a real eureka moment. I just fell in love with the flavor, the smokiness. It was dried compared to being put into an autoclave. So that was more South African for us as well. And just again, just saw so many parallels between Mexico and South Africa, and saw, what Mexico does well, South Africa can do well. What South Africa does well, Mexico could also implement. So it was just an adventure of discovery.
Well, I take this idea of the parallels, the simultaneities, the synchronicities between South Africa and Mexico in different ways. What do you have, like what is your perception of the relationship between culture and nature? How talking with the mezcaleros or the maestros in tequila or in Oaxaca, what kind of relationship do they establish with the soil, with the plants, with the agave? Because it's a very profound relationship in a way that comes as a result and becomes mezcal. But the whole process involves culture, involves tradition. It involves, like, it's a very respectful process. So tell us about what you felt, your perception in that regard.
I think that's probably the thing I love most about the agave plant, is the fact that it's this hardy, incredible plant that grows in a desert where nothing else would particularly grow. So that's, I think, probably what I fell in love with the most about it, because there's all this land in Mexico that, to the naked eye would be inarable, horrible land. But there's these beautiful agave fields and plantations going on there, and there are cattle and other animals, grazing in amongst the agave, and there's this symbiotic relationship. And the agave are holding the soil together. They're probably putting nutrients and nitrogen into the soil. They're creating oxygen, and then the byproduct in the end is this beautiful product, the tequila or mezcal or whatever agave spirits. So that for me was such a beautiful thing, and it's creating this whole industry as well. The farmers are employed, the distillery, they have a lot of, so it's just this beautiful sort of circular economy that happens just because of this agave plant. And it's not taking away from, there wouldn't be maize or something else growing there if the agave wasn't there. The agave is the reason that there is this, this industry, this revenue. So that was really beautiful for me, and that's essentially what I wanted for South Africa as well. Because it's so sad when you go to a place like the Karoo and you just see all this open land that's just desert, and it's just getting, you can kind of get the feeling that it's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse in terms of erosion. It's getting hotter, the planet's getting hotter. So the best thing we can do is plant more trees. But if trees aren't going to grow in the desert, what else can we plant? Agave. And so, yeah, having agave fields and industry and having that symbiotic relationship in Africa, I think is just so beneficial. And seeing it in Mexico was inspiring to me.
I like this concept of symbiotic relationship, and also what you're saying reminds me of the circularity of knowledge. How are you bringing this knowledge to South Africa and making part of your business, but also your conversations with South Africans? So that is like a very profound thing in terms of creating these conversations, this intercultural dialogue, and to learn from the other, because there's so many stereotypes in the world and in our societies. So a very good way to bring Mexico here is through the traditions, the processes of producing mezcal from agave, or tequila from agave as well, and this relationship with the soil again, no, with what belongs to them, and the relationship of people with the land is almost sacred. It's very, very important. You feel the same in South Africa? How do you incorporate this knowledge and these experiences in your conversations, in the work you do here with your partners or employees? How do you incorporate all this?
So it's a good question, because I mean, the perception around tequila in South Africa is usually the shooter, shot glass, bad experience, hangover in the morning, and that's something that I really wanted to change, and that's something that I guess was also so inspiring about going to Mexico, is hearing the story of the origins of agave spirit, with the bolt of lightning that hit the agave plant, and it it exploded, and the Aztecs tasted that was really a beautiful story, and that was used in rituals, right from the early days, and it was this really respected spirit that took you to your ancestors, took you to the gods, something to be almost not feared, but really respected, and not to be abused. And so that that sip slowly respect, that's something that I really want to have tried to implement into Leonista, and into the education process around agave spirits and how to drink tequila properly if it's good quality. So in my brand and my messaging and all our marketing, it's all about the Leonista experience, how to taste it, how to sip it slowly, how to respect it. That's our brand slogan, is drink with respect. Because if you drink too quickly and too much, it's going to disrespect you, and you're not going to have a good time the next day. But if you sip with respect, then you're going to have an amazing experience. And also, if you understand the production process, and you understand that this spirit comes from the agave plant, which is being grown in the Karoo, which is a desert, which would usually have nothing else growing. So you're supporting this industry and the farmers there and their farm workers, and you're also supporting environmental health, because the agave plant, as you say, it's this symbiotic relationship that's happening on the farm. And yeah, it's all positive, and as long as there's a lot of respect in each section and each I guess process, then it's it's all positive.
Sure. And you mentioned your name, Leonista. Tell us about how did this name come about? What is you were inspired by Leona, or the word in Spanish, Leona, or and it's
like
it's
a lion.
a feminine name. I like it, and I like your brands as well. I think we have some pictures to show while we are
talking.
continue our conversation. So we
Yeah.
are going to show some pictures that you sent us
Yeah.
about the process. So tell me more
So
about the name and who are your employees, if you have women working with you, or
mhm.
how do you work
So
with?
Leon means lion, and
Yeah.
Ista is someone who embodies that. So it means, you know, lion energy or lion person, and also, you know, tequila, if it's good quality, mezcal, if it's good quality, it's an energy giver. So we, you know, if you drink it with respect, you sip slowly, you're gonna have a very high energy night out, amazing experience, and we wanted to come through in the branding and in the name. Um, so and the lion is very African. It's a symbol of Africa. But we wanted to also pay respect to the inspiration of where the product came from, which is from Mexico. So we put a sugar skull design over her face. So she's a
Ah,
lioness.
okay.
She's got energy. She's got power, but she's inspired by Mexico. And yeah, I guess for me myself, I guess my spirit animal is a lion or a lioness. And so I guess, yeah, it was that inspiration. I mean, me going to Mexico, an African, and being inspired, I guess the branding is that in an image. You know, we can't call it tequila, but we wanted to get across that message that it's Mexican inspired. So
Yeah,
that's hopefully comes through in the branding. And yeah, we have obviously we have all the farmers in the Karoo who we support by buying the agave from them, and they have a lot of employees, many of them women, who are going out and harvesting the agave. So we've got our own versions of the jimadores. But myself directly, so I mean, for me, just starting this company for myself and being a company owner is a dream come true. You know, being able to manage my own time, have my own business, make my own decisions, that, you know, that was my dream from the beginning. And it's such an empowering, beautiful experience to just be in charge of something that you've created. And so then now we have 4 employees, and 2 of them are women, which is great. And yeah, it's beautiful to, I guess, offer that same empowerment to other people, and to see their passion for agave spirit, as they learn about the process and they learn about the origins of it, and they also get inspired, I guess, by Mexico as well.
Mm.
Yeah, that's just, yeah, it's great.
And we understand that the process to get from plant to bottle is kind of complicated. You have 4 products that we are watching
Yeah.
here. Can you tell us about your process and the different products that you have here? That, well, it seems to be like what we obviously we have different kind of tequilas, and you're right, tequila, we have the denomination of origin with tequila and mezcal. And mezcal is produced in some states in Mexico, mainly Oaxaca, but it has a denomination of origin. So mezcal is made from agave, but we have the right of calling obviously tequila and mezcal. And let me just before giving you the floor, because I'm very interested in learning more what is the process and how is it like to work all this. Um, um, South Africa is the 10th largest market for tequila in the world. It's interesting. And many people, you're right, they like it because, but in a very like simple way, they don't get the whole process, the whole tradition. But mezcal is making its way in South Africa, and it's interesting. In Cape Town, for instance, they are asking for mezcal, and they really enjoy the flavor, because they really are learning how to drink mezcal and all what is involved there. So
And
as we
appreciate
were,
it.
as you were telling me before, and as I was asking you, is
Mm,
the how you incorporate all these things, the meaning of these
mm,
processes, no, the
mm,
link between the culture and the and nature into
mm,
all your business. So
mm.
just wanted to let you know, I mean, to share with you these facts, no, the 10th
Yeah,
largest market is interesting, and mezcal, I hope it makes its way here as well,
yeah. There's definitely
because
a growing demand for
exactly,
mezcal, and yeah, and I think what's great about that and what's different about mezcal compared to tequila is, tequila has maybe gotten a bad name because of the way it's been marketed, and not in, when you go to Mexico, tequila is, it's amazing, it's high, it's high energy, quality, premium spirit, but maybe in the rest of the world, they've taken advantage of the mixtos. They're cheap to make, and they sell really well. So the lower quality stuff, and it's all shooters, the shooter, the lime, the salt, and so that was South Africa's experience with tequila until
mhm,
now, and that's what I wanted to change. But what's beautiful is mezcal is coming along, and it's kind of like the cousin of tequila, and it's giving tequila a better name, because mezcal is usually always 100% agave, always premium and made with a lot of love. There's not usually sort of low quality mezcals around, and all the mixologists in all the bars and all the top quality restaurants, all the top chefs are using mezcal in their recipes and cocktails, and it's something that they revere and they really respect, almost like a whiskey. So I think that's taking mezcal and the whole tequila family to the next level. And so
yeah,
now you see a much bigger demand for 100% agave. That's something that people didn't even know to look for on a bottle before. But now, all the brands that are mixtos in South Africa are slowly starting to fall away, and the high quality tequilas, the mezcals are starting to build, which is beautiful. And I guess to talk through each of these products I have here and our production process. So I was inspired by that mezcal production process when I went to Oaxaca.
mhm,
So what we have is we built our own oven, specifically designed to mimic but be slightly different to the mezcal process. So we get the agave, we harvest it with our own alchemidors who we've trained.
yeah,
We put that on a truck and we send it to the distillery. And the oven that we built is a big, I think it can take about 5 tons of agave, which is great. And
mhm,
we trolley it into the big oven. It's not a pit. It's more of a sort of a big wood-fired oven though. And it's baked for 48 hours. The agave is the agave americano. And then we squash, ferment, distill, and then you get the blanco. So the
okay,
blanco, I would say, is the closest to mezcal of the four. Sorry,
okay,
that's the blue with the blue lioness. Yeah.
okay,
So that's got the most smoky flavor, the most flavor of that agave americano. You get kind of a vegetable-y taste, almost what's the word, like a spicy, peppery, those sort of flavors are coming through. This is, and that for me, a lot of people in South Africa, when they first taste the blanco, they're like, oh no, it's too smoky, not too sure. But then they start to develop their palates for mezcal, and then the blanco becomes their favorite. And then what we do is we throw the blanco into some American oak barrels. They're old brandy barrels, and we age it for 6 months. And so that's when you get the reposado. So the reposado is the one on the left, the far left, with the golden back face. And that's basically been aged for 6 months. And we decided to use old brandy barrels as opposed to old whiskey barrels, which is what you guys do in Mexico, because that we thought that was a little bit more South African. And then so the reposado is more towards the tequila family. It's a little bit smoother, less smoky, and has a kind of a woodiness from the aging process. And that's our biggest seller. It's definitely what South Africans know the most is the reposado. And yeah, it's a great flavor. And then we move to the honey reposado. I know a lot of Mexicans would be like, "Oh, that's a terrible idea to mix honey with a spirit." But I guess you know, when I used to go out and celebrate, sometimes drinking tequila all night, you know, I would want to make it a little bit sweeter, so I would just mix a bit of honey with it. I know it's also a sort of a double kick of energy. So and the honey reposado is a great one for those. You know, a lot of people have had negative experiences with tequila, especially at university or when they're younger, to kind of welcome them back into the family. And to, you know, when they hear, oh, honey reposado, oh, there's honey infusion, you know, then they're more inclined to taste it, and then they love the taste, and then they, you know, they're more inclined to taste the rest as well. So that's, we call it the gateway bottle, because that's the one that, you know, usually gets people into the product and tasting it, and then they want to taste the rest. And then you get Reposado Black, which we've just launched. I guess this is us trying to get to the añejo stage.
Yeah.
We've aged this for a bit longer. So we've aged this for 8 months. We've also, we burnt the inside of the barrels. So to make sure that there was more sort of woodiness, more flavor from the wood coming through into the reposado, and it's even smoother than the current reposado. And we actually also, we also upgraded the branding to make it pop on shelf more, because we found that the other bottles, they were kind of fading away. But yeah, that's basically the range.
Thank you, Sarah. You talked about you. I've seen. I think I've seen the the branding you made, and you were talking about Mexico. I mean, you were including Mexico as part of the product, like a small advertising, I think, or something that addressed Mexico. I think it's part of a good synergy, you know, in terms of what the origin of all this knowledge you gathered in Mexico and you're bringing here. And have you, can you tell us, like, share with us like a meaningful experience that you have had in South Africa here, promoting your products, and when talking about Mexico and sharing the experience of having been in Mexico, and also you have plans to go back to Mexico as well, right?
Yeah, I'm in Mexico right now.
So it's yeah, exactly. And
I wish I had been able to go.
Yeah.
I was going to go back to yeah, I guess be re-inspired and to just to learn again, and hopefully, you know, meet more people, and that was the plan. But yeah, I guess I think what's beautiful about Mexican people for me are just lovely. So whenever there's someone from Mexico and they are here in South Africa, they're also happy to find that there's a product on shelf that tastes similar to a mezcal, or tastes, you know, it's 100% agave and it's made with love, as opposed to the mixtos that are usually on shelf. So that's beautiful to meet them, and, you know, to see their appreciation for the product, and to see that they appreciate that it's made locally, and it's, you know, it's slightly different. But they still enjoy it, they still love it, you know, and then they say, you know, they think it's quality, which for me is a dream come true. You know, they're the biggest critics. So if they love it, then for me, that's, you know, that's a golden ticket. I guess all the little things that I learned in Mexico, like making a mango flower, even this jacket that I have on, you know, yeah.
Where did you get it?
You know, everything I see now that looks Mexican here. There you go.
Okay.
Very well.
So you like textiles, you like the culture, you like
I think there's so much opportunity for more that could happen. Like anything that I have from Mexico, whether it's the clothes or what I've learned, or people just want it here in South Africa. So I just think that there's so much more opportunity for collaboration, and for industry, and export and import. And people, you know, people from Mexico are so lovely, and people from South Africa are also, you know, my favorite people. So I just feel like there's just so much opportunity for
So much
us
in
to
common.
connect more.
So
Yeah,
much in
exactly.
common between our societies. That is why the
Yeah.
dialogue is so, it flows very well. The dialogue between
Mm,
two different societies, but they're very unique by themselves. Their own
mm,
identity. We have our own identity, but we can share
mm,
from that, from the love or the uh, feeling toward toward nature, toward what it
mm,
belongs to us.
mm,
The soil, the land
mm,
has a lot of meaning for you, for the different
mm,
ethnic groups here in South Africa as well as in Mexico. We
mm.
have and also what is important is, I don't know if you know, but 1.2% of the population in Mexico identifies themselves as Afro-Mexicans. It's
Oh,
interesting,
really?
and yes, and the Afro-Mexicans are located mainly in Oaxaca, in
Okay.
Guerrero, and in Veracruz, mainly in those states. So you were in Oaxaca, so you
Yeah.
might have seen women and men who are of African descendants.
Mm,
So
mm,
it's interesting because it's also something that we want to promote is that dialogue, that those conversations between Mexican,
mm,
Afro-Mexican women and South
mm,
African women in the different provinces here. And
mm,
they're also the business women, for instance, you
mm,
yourself, South African woman, and also together with an African woman here in South African woman in Limpopo or in another province who is a businesswoman like you are, and then get together and talk and have conversations with Mexican women, Mexican business
mm,
women who are very, very successful as well in
mm,
different sectors. So this is the kind of things that we would like to see because it brings us closer together,
mm,
exchanging
mm,
experiences like you did. You're an example of,
mm,
okay, learning from um,
mm,
Mexican processes and then bringing knowledge here in order for knowledge to be circular and not just
mm,
like a brain drain concept, but a
mm,
circularity
mm,
and simultaneity and synchronicity of the activities that you're carrying out here, and
mm.
that makes you a very successful businesswoman. How is it like to be a businesswoman in South Africa?
um, I've had just good experiences, which is I guess, yeah, I think my timing was good. I think that the world is ready for I guess the mother, the feminine, to start taking a little bit of charge and having influence. I think the masculine has been in charge for a long time, and it hasn't gone very well. So we got to change. We got to try something different. So I think too much feminine will also be bad. So I think there's got to be a balance. But I guess it's the sway is coming towards the feminine right now. So there's a lot of openness, a lot of eagerness to see women succeed, and a lot of support, which is really lovely. So I've only had really, obviously there's difficult times, and there's still the liquor industry in itself is still quite an old school masculine industry, but it's changing, and also the consumer is also changing because
Yeah.
the consumer is more in touch with where the product is made, how it's made, who makes it. They want to know that story. And so what's great is, as soon as they hear that it's a woman-owned business, and where it's made, and it's made with love, and it's 100% agave, then they immediately take to the product, and they take to the story. So that's been really positive. And yeah, I guess in me being a business owner, I think that's something that I strive to do, is to just always try and to bring a feminine energy to business, and for that to be a good thing, so to have, for things to be, for clients and for your employees to feel nurtured, to be firm but fair. Yeah, I guess I'm not a mother. I don't have any children, so this is my baby, this
Mhm.
company.
Okay.
So I guess I try and treat it like that, to give it enough love to grow, to learn to let go as well. But yeah, that's been my experience so far. But just to touch on what you were saying around Mexico and South Africa, the parallels and the woman, I think what's kind of we're both almost third world, second world countries, I guess, or third world. Our economy is not as developed as maybe the US or Europe, so our industry
Emerging
isn't quite
powers.
there compared. But actually I think that's to our benefit, because we almost have a clean slate and we're more in touch with the land. And there's a lot more people living with the land and in rural and farming.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, has kind of been the parallel as well, is you definitely see, when you go to Mexico City compared to going to Oaxaca, it's a very different culture. It's almost two
Yes,
different people.
sure.
It's the same thing in South Africa. So when you go to Joburg compared to when you go to the Transkei, or St. Francis, or places where they're farming and they're more in touch with the land.
The land.
It's exactly the same. As soon as people are more sort of connected to the earth, connected to the soil, and more in touch with that, then there's more symbiotic relationship and there's more respect for the earth. And what's great is there seems to be more innovation, especially for women, with regards to sustainable business. And that's something that I find very important to Leonista, is trying to be as sustainable as possible. So yes, be successful, but also give back at the same time. And also our packaging is recyclable. The bottles, I always want people to upcycle them and make sure it doesn't just get thrown into landfill, because that's just what a lot of new products on the market, they just end up as waste.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's what's beautiful is about the feminine, is we are trying to bring to business a more, as you say, a circular economy, where it's not just
Sure.
produce.
Mm-hmm.
It's produced and then it comes back into the economy, and
Responsible.
yeah, that's what I hope, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, very well. Very, very, very interesting. And yeah, rightly so. When you go to Mexico, it would be very interesting to go and meet and visit a woman mezcalera. That would be very interesting. And to have a connection and listen to her stories, in order to really be more connected. That would be very interesting, I think.
I would love that.
So, yeah, so I will look for some information and I will share it with you. So when you go to Oaxaca, to Mexico, when the virus allows us to move
Yeah.
again and the borders
Yeah.
are open, that would be a good idea. I think you will enjoy it very much.
I would really, really love
To
that. Yeah.
find or the other element would be to look for business women who are producing the byproducts of mezcal, for instance, or the byproducts of tequila as well, because there are plenty of
That's a
byproducts.
really interesting industry.
Interesting
Yeah.
industry, no?
Yeah.
Soaps and candles and creams for the cosmetic
Furniture.
industry. All these, I think it's a very good experience to learn from. From agave, you can do so many things, but
So
like
many.
to share technology, or share science and technology experiences, innovation experiences as well. You can share with Mexican women as well. So let's
Yeah, because
continue these conversations. Sarah, I invite you to continue talking, and obviously you will have here an open door to share your experiences when you go back to Mexico. And definitely I will look for some women who are in this industry and in an innovation experiences, both in Jalisco, because Jalisco is a very powerful state in terms of innovation. They are doing a great job in that regard. And in Oaxaca, you can find also a woman who is a maestra mezcalera. That would be very interesting. And also business women who are very, very, very powerful, very strong, with a really with
Yeah.
a
Lionesses
lot of
of
energy. Yeah.
Mexico.
Okay. Well,
Awesome.
it was a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you,
Pleasure.
and see you soon.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Adiós. Adiós.
Ciao.
Bye.